You did not come across this message by chance. Something within you, an energy greater than you can imagine, has guided you to this exact moment. And when everything is said and done, you will understand why. If lately, you feel that your life is full of chaos, confusion, and obstacles that seem to have no explanation, pay close attention. What now appears to be an overwhelming disorder may actually be the greatest sign that you are on the threshold of a profound transformation. Very few people know this, but before every major change, life, or the universe, as you prefer to call it, sends us signs. The challenge is that many fail to recognize them and give up long before reaching the next level. Today, I will show you the 7 most telling signs that your life is about to change forever. And if you are experiencing at least 3 of them, get ready, because a new chapter is about to begin. Sign 1, you begin to question everything. Something inside you has awakened, and you notice it because suddenly you start questioning everything you once took for granted: your life, your beliefs, your values, your purpose. Everything that once seemed solid now begins to waver. Asterisk, is this really what I want? Am I living in alignment with what makes me happy, or just following the path I was taught? This is a crucial moment. The famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung spoke about individuation, the process in which a person sheds the masks imposed by society and begins to discover who they truly are. That is precisely what is happening within you. The old mental structures that once supported you are collapsing. It may feel uncomfortable, even frightening, but it is a good sign, because this collapse is not the end. It is the beginning of something much greater. Life is inviting you to look beyond appearances, to free yourself from the prison of inherited ideas, and to explore your own truth. This internal questioning is the gateway to a more authentic version of yourself. And though it may feel like an emotional whirlwind, it is actually the first step toward an evolutionary leap. Your mind is expanding, opening up to new possibilities that once seemed unimaginable. Suddenly, the things that used to excite you no longer make sense. The people you used to surround yourself with now seem to be on a different frequency. What once gave you security now feels empty, and that's okay, because when you start questioning everything, it means you are ready for something deeper, something more aligned with your true self. This process can feel as if the ground beneath your feet is disappearing, as if all the certainties you built have been taken away. But in reality, what is happening is that life is clearing the way for the new. Jung said, "What you resist persists." This is crucial at this stage. If you try to cling to the old out of fear of the unknown, you will only prolong the suffering. But if you embrace the change and allow what no longer fits to leave, you will discover that what comes next is far greater than you could have ever imagined. This deep questioning is not just a fleeting moment of doubt. It is an invitation to dive into the depths of your being. It is the call of your soul to evolve, to grow, to become the person you are truly meant to be. So if, at this moment, you feel like everything is falling apart, remember, this is not the end. It is the beginning. And what comes next may be the best phase of your life. What truly matters is not what you leave behind, but what awaits you on the other side of change. That is where you will discover a version of yourself that is stronger, more resilient, and, above all, more aligned with your true essence. Sign 2. You feel disconnected from your past. One of the clearest signs that a new phase is about to begin in your life is a sense of detachment from the past. Subtly but unmistakably, you notice that the things that once excited, motivated, or fulfilled you now seem meaningless. It's as if you are observing your own history from a different perspective, with a clarity you didn't have before. Perhaps you are surprised to find that the places that once brought you comfort no longer evoke the same emotions. That the people you shared laughter and closeness with now seem to be on a different wavelength. It's not that something is wrong with you or with them. Your energy has simply changed. And when your inner world evolves, the world around you evolves as well. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Part of this transformation process involves recognizing that some things no longer resonate with you, not because they have lost their value, but because they have fulfilled their purpose in your journey. This phenomenon can be unsettling because you may not always know exactly where you are going. You only know with certainty that you can't stay where you were. It feels as if the chapter that once defined you now seems foreign, as if your old identity is slowly dissolving, making space for something entirely new. And although this disconnection may bring nostalgia or even a bit of fear, it is one of the most powerful signs that you are evolving. Because detachment does not mean rejection, it means growth. You are making space for something greater, even if you cannot see it clearly yet. Imagine this process as a fertile field that has been cleared of dead roots and weeds. At first, the land looks empty, but in reality, it is preparing to bloom with new opportunities, relationships, and experiences. Right now, if you feel like you are losing interest in the past, do not see it as a loss. It is the universe, life, or your own unconscious making room for something you do not yet understand, but that is already on its way. This detachment is not about renouncing what was, but about letting go of the ties that no longer serve the person you are becoming. It is a time of transition, of opening yourself to the unknown, of trusting the process. It may feel like walking blindly, but in reality, it is the prelude to something greater. Disconnection from the past is not the end. It is the threshold of expansion, growth, and profound reinvention. That feeling that you no longer fit into your old reality is just the beginning, because what comes next could change everything. Releasing the past means releasing your old limitations. When you begin to let go of the past, you are not only freeing yourself from experiences but also from beliefs that, without realizing it, have limited your growth. Ideas you once accepted as absolute truths now seem strange, as if they no longer fit the person you are becoming. That old self, the one who used to think in a certain way, who saw the world through a rigid lens, begins to dissolve. The opinions of others, the expectations imposed on you, even your own judgments about who you should be, all of it loses its grip. What once seemed unquestionable now starts to crumble, piece by piece, as if the structure of your identity is being reshaped to make way for something much more authentic. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of individuation, the process in which a person stops identifying with the masks imposed by society and begins to discover who they truly are. And that is exactly what you are experiencing. The fear of letting go versus the freedom of becoming. Your sense of introspection is intensifying. You feel that what once was is dissolving, yet you do not yet have full clarity on who you are becoming. There is a strange sensation of rebirth, as if a new and more genuine version of yourself is emerging, though you cannot yet fully define its shape. And here, fear arises. The fear of letting go of the familiar. The fear of not knowing what comes next. The fear of losing the stability of what you once knew. But along with this fear, a new feeling is also born, a sense of freedom. Because in the very act of letting go of the old, you are creating space for something new to bloom. That emptiness you feel when releasing what once defined you is not a void of loss, but of possibility. At first, this process may feel uncomfortable, but it is the clearest sign that you are being prepared for a stage of greater authenticity, one that aligns with your true purpose. Clarity begins to emerge, and the most fascinating part, as you disconnect from what you once considered essential, clarity begins to surface. You no longer seek answers outside of yourself. You no longer need the validation of others. The voice of your intuition grows stronger. What your heart and your inner wisdom tell you matters more than any external opinion. And instead of clinging desperately to old certainties, you open yourself to a space of expansion, where each day you come closer to the most free and fulfilled version of yourself. So if, at this moment, you feel yourself drifting away from everything that once defined you, do not see it as a mistake or a regression. Quite the opposite. It is a sign that your soul is stronger, braver, and in perfect alignment with your purpose. Disconnection is not the end. It is just the beginning of true transformation. Sign number 3. You begin to question what you once considered important. Have you ever felt that what used to concern you no longer carries the same weight in your life? As if suddenly you were observing reality from a different perspective, and what once seemed fundamental now dissolves into something much greater. Material achievements, social approval, external expectations, all of it begins to fade in the face of something deeper. What once troubled you now seems insignificant, and you begin to realize that the true meaning of life is not about meeting societal standards, but about embracing what truly resonates with you. This is a turning point. It is as if a veil has lifted, allowing you to see beyond the superficial and leading you to the essence of your being. At this moment, you begin to understand that happiness does not come from accumulating more, from being recognized, or from achieving an idealized version of success. True fulfillment comes from living in harmony with who you truly are. Carl Jung once said, "The key to well-being is not to conform to what the world expects of you, but to integrate all parts of yourself, including the ones you once rejected or ignored." And that is exactly where this process of questioning is taking you, to integration, authenticity, and the creation of a life that is not built on what others expect, but on what truly makes you feel alive. The discomfort of awakening. This awakening can bring a certain confusion, because when you begin to question what was once unquestionable, it is normal to feel a little lost. But what feels like uncertainty is, in reality, the beginning of greater clarity. Because when you dare to let go of what no longer fulfills you, you create space to discover what truly matters. And that will undoubtedly change your life forever. A moment of transformation. Right now, contradictions may fill your mind. You may feel divided between what you used to believe and what you are now beginning to sense. But that feeling of not knowing, of uncertainty, is actually the fertile ground where growth is born. It is the necessary emptiness that allows new answers to emerge, answers that come from the deepest part of your being. Not in what others told you to believe, but in what you truly feel. Little by little, life shows you that purpose is not about accumulating achievements or following a predetermined path, but about the experiences that truly nourish you and the connections that touch your soul. You begin to realize that happiness is not in what you own, but in what you live, in the depth of your relationships, in the authenticity of your journey. A deep internal shift. As this questioning intensifies, an inevitable need arises to re-examine your purpose. Who are you? What do you truly wish to experience in this life? The answers do not come immediately, but one thing is undeniable. A door has opened within you to new possibilities. What once seemed indispensable loses its power, and in its place, new passions emerge, interests you once ignored, and a deeper search for connection with the essential. This is one of the clearest signs that you are entering a stage of radical transformation. The universe, or, if you prefer, your own unconscious, is pushing you toward what will truly make you feel whole. You are leaving behind a mold that no longer defines you, stepping into a more authentic path, one that aligns with who you truly are. At first, this process may feel confusing. It is as if a part of you resists change, trying to cling to the familiar. But as you move forward, you realize there is no turning back. The things that once gave you a sense of security no longer hold the same meaning. You no longer feel the need to follow the flow of what society dictates as success. Something inside you has awakened, and now it drives you to live on your own terms, not under the expectations of others. It's not just about rejecting the old, but embracing the new. This transformation is not just about letting go of what no longer fits. It is about making space for what is meant to take its place. The passions and interests you once set aside now come back to life. Maybe you find yourself rediscovering activities you used to love, but abandoned in favor of a conventional path. Or perhaps you feel drawn to entirely new areas, exploring topics and experiences you had never even considered before. What once seemed like a safe path now feels like a cage. You no longer care about fitting into a system that does not reflect your essence. Now you seek a path that makes sense to you, one that aligns with your values, your true desires, and what truly gives meaning to your life. A phase of solitude, but only for a while. This deep questioning may also bring a temporary feeling of solitude. At first, you may feel disconnected from some people in your social circle, those who once felt fundamental in your life. But it's not that something is wrong with you or with them, it's just that your frequency has changed. Carl Jung stated that the process of individuation, the journey toward authenticity, often involves a period of isolation. And it's true. When you step away from external expectations to find your inner truth, it is natural to feel distant from those who are still trapped in old structures. But do not fear, this solitude is not permanent. It is a necessary space for your self-awareness to grow, for you to become stronger from within. And over time, you will begin to attract people who share your new perspective on life. Genuine connections. Relationships that resonate with the real you. It's as if you are going through a reset. Everything that no longer serves you begins to fade away, making room for renewed energy, more aligned with what truly matters. It is not a crisis, it is an awakening. An awakening that is preparing you for something greater, deeper, and more meaningful than anything you have ever experienced. And although this path may feel uncertain at first, soon you will realize it was exactly what you needed to discover the best version of yourself. Sign number 4, your intuition becomes stronger than ever. Something inside you has changed. Suddenly, you begin to perceive the world differently, as if a new clarity has been activated within you. It is a fascinating phenomenon that occurs when you are on the verge of a major leap in your life. Everything starts to make deeper sense. Connections become more evident, and the decisions that once caused doubt now flow more naturally. What once felt uncertain now begins to feel clear. You are no longer lost in the noise of the mind, the confusion of external opinions, or the fear of the future. Instead, a subtle but powerful inner feeling guides you. It's as if, deep inside, a silent compass is showing you the way, without the need for logical explanations. This is intuition. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, how, at certain moments in our lives, we tap into an inner wisdom that goes beyond the rational. It is a kind of instinctive knowing, a force that points us toward what is right for us, even when we cannot explain it in words. Learning to trust the voice within. This awakening of intuition does not happen overnight. It often begins with small signs, a gut feeling that urges you to take a different route, a sense of calm when making an important decision, a sudden insight that warns you about a person or situation. At first, this inner voice may be hard to identify, drowned out by the noise of everyday life. But when you give it space, when you start paying attention instead of ignoring it, it becomes clearer, stronger, and more reliable. How intuition manifests. Intuition reveals itself in different ways. For some, it feels like a pressure in the chest or a tingling in the stomach. For others, it appears as a sudden idea, emerging out of nowhere, or as an unshakable certainty about someone or something. The key is to learn to recognize it and, above all, to trust it. And here is the most powerful lesson. You don't need to fully understand why something attracts or repels you. You just need to feel it. When you begin to listen to your intuition, you no longer need to rationalize every decision. Not because you stop thinking, but because a part of you already knows without the need for analysis. It is a deeper knowing, one that aligns with your true essence. The moment everything starts to make sense. As your connection with intuition grows stronger, something extraordinary happens. Life stops feeling chaotic. Situations that once seemed random or meaningless begin to reveal a pattern. As if the puzzle pieces are finally coming together, showing a path that has always been there, waiting for you to see it. Synchronicities, the signs that guide you, those perfect coincidences, too meaningful to be mere chance, start happening more frequently. You notice that opportunities arrive at the exact moment you need them, that the right people appear just when you need them most, that the answers you were searching for reveal themselves precisely when you are ready to receive them. You no longer feel the need to overanalyze every step because a new kind of confidence sustains you, one that does not come from logic but from a deep inner certainty. You are on the right path, a new level of perception. But something even more powerful happens in this awakening of intuition. Now, you perceive what was once invisible. You begin to read between the lines, to sense the energy of people and places, to feel what is truly happening beyond words. You realize that communication is not just verbal, it is vibrational. Sometimes the most important thing is not what someone says, but what you feel when you are with them. This new level of perception gives you an incredible advantage. Now, you know whom to trust and whom not to, when to move forward and when to wait, which opportunities to seize and which to let pass. Not because someone told you, but because you feel it. The peace of trusting your intuition. And the most surprising part? When you trust your intuition, you start experiencing a level of peace and security that you never knew before. The future may still not be completely clear, But the feeling of being aligned with your purpose is so strong that nothing can shake you from your path. Fear and doubt lose their power because your decisions are no longer made from fear, but from a deep understanding of yourself and of the universe around you. The beginning of a new chapter. This is the start of a new phase in your life, a path of self-discovery, empowerment, and alignment with your true essence. As you continue to cultivate this connection with your intuition, you will notice that your decisions bring you closer to your purpose. And then, life will start to flow with an effortless grace you never imagined. Without even realizing it, you have begun to follow the natural rhythm of your being. And in this process, an undeniable feeling emerges. Existing is no longer enough. Now you crave evolution, a mind that expands beyond limits. As you step into this new chapter of your life, you feel your mind expanding like never before. What you once took for granted no longer satisfies you. The version of yourself that you knew now feels limited, as if it is ready to transcend into something greater. This is an inner awakening, rising from the deepest part of your being. Suddenly, the idea of personal growth becomes a priority. And it is not just a passing thought. It is an urge that begins to drive your daily actions and decisions. You want to learn, explore, and challenge yourself, whether through books, courses, new experiences, or conversations with people who push you to see life differently. You feel an unstoppable need to expand your knowledge, to discover more about yourself. It is as if a fire has ignited within you, a fire that craves growth, that pushes you to become the most authentic and powerful version of yourself. The journey of self-discovery. And this thirst for self-discovery is not limited to the intellectual. It drives you to explore parts of yourself that you had never considered before. From your hidden passions to your deepest fears, every aspect of your inner world begins to reveal itself to you. And with this expansion comes a profound realization. There is no time to waste. You feel that this is the moment, that every opportunity is valuable, that every experience has the power to transform you. It is not just about learning. It is about evolving in ways you never thought possible. True growth is a complete transformation. But this journey is not just about seeking more knowledge. It is about a complete transformation. You realize that true change does not happen only in the mind, but also in the heart. And so you begin to confront your old wounds, your limiting beliefs, the patterns that once defined you, but now must be released. You understand that only by letting go of what no longer serves you can you make space for the new. And though this process of healing can be challenging, it also becomes one of the most powerful and liberating experiences of your life. Shedding the masks, becoming your true self. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming your true self, shedding the masks and expectations imposed by society. And that is exactly what you are experiencing. The superficial worries that once filled your mind begin to fade away. What once seemed urgent now feels irrelevant. And in its place, a new desire arises, a desire to live authentically, to build a life aligned with what truly matters. Growth, connection, the expansion of your being, embracing the unknown. Your perception of the world changes. What once seemed like a safe and well-defined path now appears blurred, as if you need to find new routes, new ways of thinking and acting. But instead of fearing this uncertainty, you feel it as an invitation, an opportunity to explore the unknown, to reinvent yourself without limits. Personal growth is no longer an option. It is a necessity, an inevitable calling that begins to manifest in every aspect of your life. The deepest questions begin to arise. This journey leads you to ask profound questions. Who am I, really? What is my true purpose? What do I truly want for my life? These questions are not random. They are signs that your mind is ready to expand beyond the comfort zone you once thought was enough. But now, you are not just searching for answers. You are searching for transformation, the need for emotional and spiritual healing. And on this path of evolution, you begin to notice another change. You feel a deep urge to heal. You no longer want to just learn and grow intellectually. You crave an emotional and spiritual transformation. You become more aware of the wounds you carry, the blockages that have held you back, the fears that have restricted your potential. But this time, instead of ignoring them, you face them head-on. And in this act of courage, you discover the power of liberation. You realize that true growth is not about accumulating knowledge, but about releasing what no longer serves you, closing cycles, letting go, allowing yourself to be fully you, without the weight of the past, attracting those who share your path. And as you walk this path, something incredible happens. You begin to attract people who share the same thirst for expansion, the transformation of your connections and life. The connections that once seemed superficial now transform into deeper, more meaningful relationships with people who vibrate on the same frequency, who inspire you, challenge you, and push you forward. Your world is changing, and you are finally ready to embrace it. This is not just a learning process. It is a rebirth, a journey toward the most authentic, courageous, and free version of yourself. And the best part is that this is just the beginning. As you move forward in your transformation, you feel a radical shift in how you relate to the world. You no longer seek external validation, nor do you hold on to beliefs that no longer resonate with you. What you truly desire now is a meaningful and authentic life, a life that reflects the most honest version of yourself. And with this change comes new clarity. The people you surround yourself with now have a deep impact on your evolution. You now seek relationships that challenge you to grow, that push you to think differently, and that expand your worldview. You want genuine connections, those that nourish you instead of draining you, that inspire you instead of holding you back. A desire to let go of toxic relationships. Sign number 6. You feel a strong desire to break free from toxic relationships or situations that no longer resonate with you. At this point in your life, something within tells you it is time to let go. You begin to notice that certain people and circumstances that once were part of your world now feel strange, as if they no longer fit into the reality you are building. What once felt comfortable, familiar, or even necessary now seems like a burden, holding you back. It's a natural process. As you evolve, your surroundings must evolve too. This inner change pushes you to free yourself from everything draining your energy, from everything that limits your growth instead of propelling it. And this includes not only situations but also relationships that, deep down, you know no longer bring anything positive into your life. Perhaps you realize you've stayed in certain circles or environments simply out of habit, fear of change, or even a misguided belief that you should maintain certain relationships out of obligation. But now everything has changed. You no longer want to be in places where you cannot be yourself. You are no longer interested in maintaining connections that leave you in a constant state of doubt, negativity, or emotional exhaustion. And though it may be difficult to let go, there is an undeniable truth. If something no longer allows you to grow, it's time to let it go. This urge for liberation does not come from rejection of others, but from a deep recognition that your well-being is a priority. To continue evolving, you need to surround yourself with people who support you, who positively challenge you, and who push you to become the best version of yourself. This is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-love, because you understand that only when you are at peace with yourself can you offer the best of yourself to others. Clarity and inner peace become more valuable than any bond built on obligation or emotional dependence. And surprisingly, when you let go of what no longer serves you, you begin to attract more authentic relationships that are in tune with the person you are becoming. This process is not always easy. It requires courage to let go, to say no to what no longer resonates with you, and yes to a more genuine path. But when you do this, you realize it is one of the most powerful signs that you are preparing for the best phase of your life, a phase where superficial connections disappear and true relationships emerge. The people who matter will be by your side, not because they must, but because they choose to share this journey with you. The deepening disconnection with what no longer serves you. Sign number 7. You begin to feel a deep disconnection from what no longer serves you. As you go through this transformation process, something becomes more and more evident. Everything that once seemed essential to you now feels light. The relationships, activities, habits, and even places that used to give you meaning now seem strange, irrelevant. It's as if you have outgrown this version of your life. Though this disconnection may initially feel uncomfortable or even painful, it is actually a clear sign that you are leaving behind what no longer fits the person you are destined to be. It is not that your past was a mistake. Every experience, relationship, and moment brought you here. But now, your inner being tells you it's time to release what has fulfilled its purpose. It's a feeling of liberation. Although it may feel uncertain at first, suddenly you begin to notice that certain people, beliefs, or situations that once were part of your identity no longer evoke the same emotion in you. It's like you are saying goodbye to an old skin, leaving behind the layers of who you once were, to make room for something far more authentic. The worries that once occupied your mind now seem trivial compared to your deep need for evolution. You start to see more clearly what truly matters. You realize that happiness is not in accumulating things, nor in fitting into an imposed mold, but in living aligned with your truth. This process of disconnection is not a loss. It's an opportunity. It's life's way of telling you that you are ready for the next step. Because when you dare to let go of the old, you make space for the extraordinary. And it is in this space of uncertainty and possibility that the most exciting phase of your life begins. The silent but deep shift. The things that once felt essential to you now lose their weight. It is a silent but deep change, a transition that can bring a mix of emotions. On one hand, there is a sense of loss, as if you are saying goodbye to a part of yourself. But at the same time, a strange peace emerges because in the act of letting go of the old, you are making space for something new, something more aligned with the person you are becoming. This process doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds gradually, almost without you noticing. You may suddenly realize that the activities that once passionately excited you no longer generate the same enthusiasm. The people who once made up your close circle now seem distant, as if they speak a language you no longer understand. It's not a betrayal, it's not a rejection. It is a natural evolution. You are going through a profound change, an awakening that is leading you to a more authentic version of yourself. And in this process, you begin to develop a clearer sense of what truly matters. You realize that to move forward, you must let go of what no longer nurtures you. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And that is exactly what is happening to you. You are becoming aware. You are no longer acting on autopilot. You are no longer sustaining what no longer vibrates with you. Not out of obligation, but because you now understand that growth requires space. The universe has mysterious ways of guiding us. Trust something big is about to happen. The real question now is, what will happen when you take the reins of your life with full awareness of these signs? What is to come is an awakening that will completely transform the way you see the world. If you want to continue exploring more about your personal evolution, subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications. There is much more to discover on this journey of transformation, and I will be here to accompany you every step of the way. See you soon. Let's continue growing together.